Welcome to Herbs After 9. If you're tuning in, make yourself a cup of tea, put your feet up, and listen to some herbal wisdom to nurture you naturally. Hey guys, what's up? No, I'm joking. Please don't put that one in. It's episode 3. Hey guys, welcome back to Herbs After 9. This is episode 3. Yeah, hi, welcome. How are you guys doing? How was your week? So what's in my cup? Nettle tea has been one of my favourite herbs for a while now. Nettle is an amazing herb. It's really underrated actually because, people just think nettle is this weed that grows everywhere, stings you as you walk past it. And sometimes because of its abundance and kind of the nature about it being so common, sometimes people really just kind of underrate it. But nettle is a powerhouse of vitamins and minerals. It is amazing. I am using it personally. When I found out I always loved nettle. I used to particularly use it around my periods, during my period and after, just because of its nourishing properties. And around that time, you generally tend to want nutrient-dense food and drink and things that are going to just nourish you from within. I used to drink it anyway, but when I found out I was pregnant, I backed nettle a lot. I used to try and have nettle tea daily. And after now post-pregnancy, so in my postpartum stage, I still drink nettle because when you're pregnant, you're creating a whole human. You're going to need all of those extra nutrients, and particularly during my first trimester, because in my first trimester I couldn't eat greens at all. I have a plant-based diet, but I totally went off greens, and that's mad because that makes up like the majority of my diet. I couldn't have greens, and I was quite worried that I weren't getting the nutrients that I needed to build this baby. But for the first trimester, I made sure I incorporated nettle into my diet just to kind of replace some of those nutrients. And then after giving birth, I tried to incorporate nettle even more because I'm breastfeeding, and breastfeeding takes it out of you. Like, it literally does. Like, I always knew that, but when you know something and by theory and you experience it, it's so different. It really drains you. And I see it because obviously I feel it, but I also see it. My little girl, she only has breast milk at the moment, and she has grown like from this tiny little thing when she first came out to this being that she's heavy. She's really dense. Like, she's so heavy to carry, and she's so strong as well. She kicks you, it really hurts. And I think all of that is being made. She's not eating anything. She's literally just having breast milk. And you need nutrients, you need protein, you need, all to build all of that muscle and weight, you need nutrients. And if that's coming from me, I'm like, I definitely need to top up. I need that extra set of nutrients. So I'm trying to make sure I have enough nettle tea a day. I don't always succeed. As well, it's also good for breastfeeding. It's a galactagogue. That's galactagogue. Galactagogues are herbs that stimulate and help promote the production of breast milk, the flow of breast milk. And it's really good to have those when you're breastfeeding, especially if you are not producing enough breast milk. Sometimes you might not be producing enough because you don't have enough nourishment. So definitely incorporating nettle is great. Nettle's also great for allergies. It has some antihistamine properties. So if you have allergies like hay fever, this is a great one to have during that time. People that suffer from hay fever, I recommend that they start taking nettle before the allergies usually start. So, if it's early spring, just before that early springtime, start taking that nettle, start drinking it daily. You can use nettle as a tea, which is lovely. It tastes good. It's kind of got, testing my tasting abilities. It's green. It's got a bit of a savoury taste. I know that sounds weird, but okay, so for example, peppermint tea, it's quite green, it's fresh. But this is green in a different way. It's green, it's earthy, and it's got like a savoury taste. Almost salty, if you think about it. It's kind of salty, and I think that must be all the minerals in it. But nettle is, it's really lovely. You can drink it as a tea. You can also have it as a tincture. I will let you know what a tincture is a bit later. It also has anti-inflammatory properties. So if you have an inflammatory condition such as arthritis or eczema, nettle is going to be one of your best friends to drink daily. And if you experience gout, that was the last thing. Gout is where there is a uric acid build up in your joints, and often when people get gout, it is so painful, so excruciating. I've never had it myself, but I've seen patients and I've had friends that have had gout, and when I've given them nettle to drink and I've advised them to drink nettle consistently, like 3 cups a day, strong nettle brew, on a consistent basis, they generally start to see reprieve. So nettle is good for gout. I said you can have it as a tea or a tincture, but in the early spring, it's also a great idea to pick the fresh nettle, like the young, fresh leaves. Obviously wear gloves and protect yourself. The nettle, even though nettle stings, once you wash the nettle and lightly steam it, those stings don't sting you anymore, because they can only sting you if they're kind of erect and pointing upwards, but once they're not anymore, or you squash them, they can't sting you. Yeah, pick some fresh nettle in the spring, the early baby ones, and they're really nice and tender. They kind of cook in the same way as spinach, so you can make like saute some spinach with some garlic and olive oil and put it on some fresh bread, some fresh sourdough. Nettle, you can do the same thing. I like to make nettle soup, just in the same way as you would make like spinach soup, with some garden peas. It's really nice. So yeah, pick fresh nettle in the spring, and it's abundant in the spring. That's when it starts coming out. And we generally tend to say the herbs that come out in the spring are for spring cleansing, spring cleaning. It's a great spring tonic, because when you come out of winter, winter you're really eating all those stodgy foods, you're moving a lot less. You need something to kind of like spring clean your body. And nettle is a great kind of detoxifying herb, and having it in the spring is great. So that's what's in my cup today. That took a lot longer than I thought, but yeah, I'm passionate about nettle, so yeah, that's nettle. So today's episode, it is quite different. It's only episode 3, what is different and what's not, but today's episode is a Q&A. So if you follow me on Instagram at herbsafter9, then you know I put up a story the other day asking you to send in questions that you want me to answer on this podcast. So yeah, if you haven't followed me yet, do follow me on herbsafter9 and get your questions in. So today I'm answering a question. It says, hey Sophia, what are your top 5 to 10 herbs to always have at hand as we head into the autumn-winter season? So that's 5 to 10 herbs. I'm choosing 7 because that's kind of midway, and 7 is just a nice, perfect number. It is hard to choose just 7 herbs to say you're going to have throughout into the autumn and winter. But so this list is not exhaustive. It's not like the best herbs. It's just my best herbs and what I could think of at the time and what I just like to have. I could always add to the list. I can keep adding for days. But if you have these and take these regularly, you'll be good. And also I'm a bit biased because these are some of my favourite herbs. And when most people talk about herbs or foods heading into the autumn and winter and remedies, they're talking about herbs that are going to be beneficial to your immune system, herbs that are going to help to keep you well, and herbs that are going to help to get you well if you do get sick. So that's what I'm going to focus on today. The 3 actions or 3 things that I would say when you are heading into the winter season is supporting the immune system, helping to keep your body warm with warming kind of circulatory stimulant herbs, and thirdly is helping to support digestion, because in the winter your digestion is usually more sluggish and slow. We tend to eat heavier and stodgier foods, and the metabolism on a whole is slower. So those are the 3 things I like to focus on in the winter. So here are the list of herbs in no order of importance. The first one I'm going to speak about is elderberry. So elderberry, you've probably heard of this before because it's really kind of becoming more popular. I mean, it's always been known in the herbal field, but more and more people are hearing about elderberries and its benefits. So elderberry comes from the elder tree, the same tree that elderflower comes from. You've probably heard of elderflower before, and you've probably had elderflower cordial before. So elderflowers make up the cordial. They arrive on the tree in springtime, and then they're kind of there throughout the summer. And then you have the autumn season where those flowers, they transform into berries. And it's nice because I like the elder tree because the flowers that come in the springtime, they're really good at kind of nasal congestion stuff, which are great for people that suffer from hay fever. So when you've got hay fever, you've got like blocked nose and runny nose and all of that stuff, elderflower helps to offer you some relief. And then in the autumn time, going into the colder months, that's when the berries arrive, and the berries are great antiviral berries. They're a great antiviral herb. Yeah, there's been lots of research that goes into elderberries, and to show that it can help to decrease the amount of time it takes you to get over a cold, and also reduce the symptoms. So reduce the severity, that's the word, the severity of the symptoms. Yeah, help you to get over your cold quicker. And sometimes people like to take it throughout the winter, especially those people that have poor immunity in general, like to take it throughout the winter just as a kind of preventative measure, or when they know they're going into like a phase where they might tend to get sick, or they're, you know, going through exhaustion, or in a place where there's lots of sick people, they might just take it as a precautionary measure. So elderberry is a great antiviral herb, great for colds and flus. It is generally taken as a syrup or a tincture. Elderberry syrup is so easy to make, by the way. If you are in the vicinity of elderberries, you can collect them when the time comes and make a syrup really easily with like either sugar or honey, or you can just buy it from the health shop. And also elderberry tincture is commonly used too. As well, like any other dark berry, it is rich in chemicals that act as antioxidants in our body. So, you know, dark berries like blueberries, any pigmented food that has like the purple, red, or kind of orangey blue pigments, those foods are rich and high in antioxidants and are great for us to have in abundance. So elderberry is great in that sense. The second herb that I'm going to speak to you about is ginger. Ginger is lovely because it's got so many actions. If you've ever had ginger, which I'm sure you have, it's really hot and it's heating, it's stimulating. So ginger helps to stimulate your circulation to your peripheries. So in the winter, we want to keep warm. It's cold outside, your body needs to work harder to produce heat. We want to help it. So you get that circulation going with ginger. If you suffer from like cold hands and cold feet in the winter and find it hard to warm up, have some ginger. It will definitely increase your circulation. Ginger is also a great expectorant. An expectorant is a herb that can help to expel mucus from your respiratory system. So when you're sick, like you might have a cold or flu and you're all bunged up and that mucus is just sitting there making you feel really rubbish, having some ginger can just help to start mucus to escape and leave you, to make you feel better, really, and not so kind of sinusy and headachy. So it's a great expectorant. Ginger is also great as a digestive herb. It helps to increase your digestive motility. So if like you suffer from sluggish, poor, slow digestion, which is really common in the winter for a lot of people, ginger will definitely kind of increase the circulation there and increase the activity of your gut, to kind of help you be regular and help your digestion to be improved. If you eat sometimes, particularly in the winter, where you just feel like the food sits there and doesn't do anything and makes you feel really meh, then get some ginger. You can maybe get some fresh ginger, grate it, make it into a tea. When you make the tea, make sure the cup is covered, because there's lots of oils, special oils in there that are doing a lot of the work that we want to kind of keep in the cup, keep in the medicine, and make your tea really nice and strong. You can also get some ginger powder, powdered ginger, powdered dried ginger, and make a little tea from that. Another way I like to include ginger is making golden milk. So golden milk is like basically turmeric milk. You can put a bit of turmeric in some milk. I like to use almond milk or oat milk or any plant-based milk. Coconut milk is one of my favourites actually, because it's got good fats in there, and fats help the absorption of turmeric. But yeah, so golden milk, you can look it up on Google, but you just add some turmeric and heat it with some milk. And I like to add a bit of coconut oil or some MCT oil, and in there I like to put a bit of cinnamon and ginger. It's really warming, great drink for the winter, great anti-inflammatory properties too. Oh yeah, ginger is a great anti-inflammatory. So if you suffer from inflammatory conditions like arthritis, ginger is something that you can have daily as your friend. Especially because actually inflammatory conditions tend to be cold and worse in winter. So having ginger can definitely warm you up and help to kind of put your symptoms of arthritis pain at bay. You can also have ginger as a tincture too. A tincture, I mentioned that earlier. So a tincture is an alcoholic extract of a herb. So whereas I made my tea today with dried nettle herb. So I got the herb, I put hot water on it, and I let the hot water draw out the nutrients and the chemicals from the nettle. So that's an infusion. That's what a tea is, it's an infusion. But when you make a tincture, instead of using water to draw out the benefits of the nettle, you use alcohol to draw out the benefits. And there are often benefits of using tinctures over teas. They do generally tend to be more potent. The alcohol can tend to draw out more from the herb, and usually the alcohol is drawing out the herb over a space of like maybe 6 weeks or so you get a lot in there. So whereas I might have to drink this whole cup of nettle tea for one dose, as a tincture you might need a few drops or like a few milliliters to kind of get the same amount. Tinctures are really convenient, they're really easy to use. You can take them in your bag with you, whereas you might not be able to carry a cup of tea around. And sometimes tinctures work better depending on what you're trying to get from the herb. So for example, herbs that are high in resins like myrrh or frankincense or marigold, and you want to get those resins out, then you have to use a tincture, because it's only alcohol that's going to be able to kind of extract those chemicals, those compounds from the herbs. There's some cases where an infusion is better and you'll get more out of it. For example, if you're trying to get some mucilage out of a plant. So mucilage is like that gooey kind of substance you see when you make oats porridge. That mucus kind of, that sounds so horrible, doesn't it? Not mucus, but that kind of really drawy, smooth, demulcing compound. That's what mucilages are. Some herbs are rich in mucilages, and that's what that mucilage might be what we're trying to get from the herb to act as medicine. One example is, why is it going out of my head? One example is marshmallow root. So marshmallow root is great for sore throats, soothing the esophagus when you have things like heartburn. Another herb is slippery elm. Again, that's rich in mucilage. If you mix slippery elm with water and you let it sit, then you will start to see it becomes really gloopy and gooey. That's the mucilages coming out. So if you're trying to use a mucilage from a plant, there's no point using a tincture, because you won't get that from the tincture. You won't get the mucilages in the tincture, but you'll get it in an infusion. So yeah, that's the difference. Why did I say that? Yeah, that's what a tincture is, and that's why you might use it and why you might use an infusion, is a tea. The third herb that I want to talk about is andrographis. Sometimes it's called the king of bitters because this herb is bitter. It's bitter. When we were running our clinic, we kind of first opened the clinic. Oh, I can't remember. But when we were open during the pandemic, during the lockdown, and people were still coming, but a lot of people came in for this herb, and some people that came in for it never tasted it before, and they would sometimes call us back and say they think it's off, or they think it's it's gone off, it's bad, bad quality, or something's wrong with it. We said no, that's how it tastes. So andrographis is the king of bitters. And because it's a very bitter herb, it actually promotes digestion. Any herb that has it tastes bitter, it's usually going to be good for digestion, because when when your tongue senses something bitter, it sends a reflex reaction to your whole digestive system. So if you've ever noticed when you have something bitter, your mouth starts salivating. Even the thought of it actually right now is making me salivate. But yeah, when you have something bitter, it stimulates your saliva. So your saliva is a digestive enzyme. Your body is producing saliva to help start breaking down food. So that not only happens in the mouth, where we can see, that happens throughout the whole digestive system. So your gut starts producing more gastric juices, your liver starts producing more bile, your pancreas starts producing more enzymes and acid, all of that stuff to help your digestion and help break down food is what is promoted when you have bitter substances. So angiographisce is one of those bitter herbs, and it will help support your gut health essentially. And anything that supports your gut health is going to promote good immunity. This is because your gut health is determined by your microbiome. So the variety and the mix of different organisms you have in your gut. So if you've got a good microbiome, you generally tend to have better health in your body. If you have a bad balance and you have gut problems, then it can affect the rest of your body, especially your immune system. So if your gut microbiome is not great, in turn this will have a negative effect on your immune system. Having angiographisce throughout the winter to help support your sluggish digestion will definitely help to improve your microbiome and hence improve your immune system. The gut and the immune system are so interrelated. I mean, the whole body is so interrelated. If you remember what I spoke about on the first or second podcast, episode number 2, but the gut and the immune system are so connected. And sometimes you see people that are always getting sick and they live half of their life having a cold. Usually the condition of their gut is not great, so sorting out the gut is really important. Angiographisce is also a great antiviral. It has antiviral properties and also immune modulating properties, so it can help to just support the immune system, offer the immune system support where it needs support. Good for infections and for also improving your resistance to infections. So that means you can take angiographisce throughout the winter or throughout the time you would normally get sick, to help improve your resistance. And also, if you are sick, you can also take angiographisce to help you overcome your cold. And it's commonly taken as a tincture, a herbal extract, like I said, made from alcohol. Sometimes when herbs are really bitter, you kind of want to have them as a tincture because it's easier to drink like a shot of a bitter herb than a whole cup. So was that number 3? I think that was number 3. Yeah, we're on number 4. So the fourth herb I want to mention today is thyme. So thyme is great when you're sick. I mean, everyone likes the taste of thyme, I think. I like to cook with thyme. I put it in a lot of my food. Yeah, thyme is an amazing fragrant herb. It's rich in essential oils, very aromatic. Aromatic herbs are any herbs that you can smell really strongly. So think about peppermint, rosemary, thyme, cinnamon. Anything that when you rub or break it produces quite a strong fragrance or an aroma. And usually those herbs are rich in essential oils. That's what you can smell essentially. And so thyme is great when you're sick. It is also an expectorant, so just like ginger, it helps to expel that mucus when you are sick from your respiratory system. And it helps we call it a mucolytic, it helps to break up the mucus, so it's not so thick and gunky. It helps to break it up, thins it out so it can leave and exit the respiratory system. It's also a great antiseptic, not only to the respiratory system in like colds and flus, but also to the gut. If you have any sort of infection of the gut or the respiratory system, then thyme is your friend. Definitely have that. It's also an antitussive herb. Now, antitussive herbs are herbs that help to combat coughing. Sometimes when you have a cold or you're getting over a cold and you have that cough that really just lingers and it's not productive, it just lingers there. Thyme is great for that. Thyme is an antispasmodic. That means it just helps to reduce spasms either in the gut or in the respiratory system, and coughing is a spasm of your respiratory system. So Thyme helps to reduce coughing and helps you kind of calm down those coughing fits that you might have. The tincture, I really like having thyme tincture. I also drink thyme tea. Again, if you do make a thyme tea, make it really strong and nice, and make sure you cover it while it's brewing. You can use thyme tea, a strong brew of thyme tea, as a gargle if you've got a sore throat. Again, the antiseptic properties in oils be really good for you. And lastly, I like to use thyme essential oil, neat, so the pure thyme essential oil. That's what you find in the leaves, but having the oil in the bottle, that's just like an extraction of the oil from the leaves. And this is really good for doing inhalation. So if you have like a blocked nose or stuffy sinuses, or when you're sick, you're just really bunged up, doing a steam inhalation with thyme oil is great. It helps just to kind of clear your sinuses. The steam does anyway. And those little droplets of essential oil, they kind of go up in the steam, get into those places, and provide their antiseptic and anti-inflammatory actions where they are. So you will start to feel better if you do that consistently when you are bunged up. So that is thyme. Always have that on hand. Echinacea. Echinacea is number 5. So echinacea is very popular. Like if you ask anyone what's a good herb for the immune system, they'll probably, like, echinacea might come to their mind because it's everywhere. It's in like lots of health shops, and it's in some kind of shops that are not even like normal chemists. Echinacea is really popular herb, and it's great for the treatment and prevention of infections. So echinacea is one to take throughout the winter if you are prone to getting sick, just to kind of provide some protection for you. And if you do get sick, then you can just increase the dosage of your echinacea. I like to use it as a tincture. I just think it's most it's the best way to use it. Well, it's the best way for me to use it. I think it's quite, it's quite effective and quite convenient, especially if you're sick, you just want something to be able to swig back. Echinacea is great for that. It's also good for any infection of the body, so not just respiratory tract infections, but any infection of the gut, any infection of the urinary tract system or the respiratory system. It can usually be combined with other herbs depending on what you're trying to treat. But yeah, I do prefer to use the tincture form, but you can get like echinacea teas in a lot of health shops, which can be useful too. My fifth, no, that was number 5. So this one is number 6, is Siberian ginseng. So Siberian ginseng, it's really kind of, it's a bit deceiving because it's not actually a ginseng. It's not related to the ginseng, like the real ginseng, the Panax ginseng that everybody knows. It's just, that's kind of a nickname for it. You might sometimes see it called Eleuthero. Which is short. It's a shortened version of its botanical name, but Eleuthero. It is very different from the actual ginseng that we know. It is an adaptogen, and you've probably heard of this word before, an adaptogen. It is thrown around a lot, and a lot of things are called adaptogens that aren't really adaptogens. But an adaptogen is basically a herb that helps to negate or reduce some of the negative effects of stress on the body. So when you are stressed, whether you're like mentally stressed, or you're tired, you're overworked, you're not sleeping enough, you're not eating enough, all of these things are stresses on the body. So when you are stressed, your body goes through a certain reaction and certain chemicals are increased, and chronic stress can really mess you up and really cause haywire in your body. And what adaptogens do, they can reduce the negative impact that stress has in your body. That's not to mean that you can continue allowing your body to kind of experience that stress and adaptogens will just undo it and fix you. No, you need to kind of address those stressful things. But adaptogens can just help us through those hard times when we need them. And Siberian ginseng is great at that. They tend to be beneficial for your immune system, of which Siberian ginseng is, and it helps to modulate your immune system. So great at improving your resistance to infections. So in the winter, it's a great one to have anyway, especially if you're somebody that is prone to being sick throughout the winter. Siberian ginseng is a great one. My final herb is not actually a herb. Well, do you know what? Herbalists, the way herbalists refer to herbs are different to like the general understanding of what a herb is. So the definition of a herb in like the herbal field is any kind of medicine that, you know, any kind of like, whether it's a plant, a fungi, or bark, you know, or a root, anything that can provide some medicinal benefit. So when I talk about elderberries, or what else is a root? Ginger root. All of these to me are herbs. So you'll hear me refer to those as herbs. So the last one is not a herb in the strictest sense, but it is a herb to us. It's medicinal mushrooms. So they're actually fungi or fungi. Medicinal mushrooms. So medicinal mushrooms they're medicinal, they're great. Mushrooms are just amazing. And I think that everyone, if you don't eat mushrooms, or you haven't eaten mushrooms before, then definitely start looking into mushrooms. Sometimes people say to me, oh, I hate mushrooms, I've tried it before and I hate them. There's so many different mushrooms, so you definitely haven't tried all of them. And they do have different tastes. They have different tastes and flavours and textures, so that you might not like some mushrooms, but you might like another mushroom. I like all of them, most of them, the ones that I've tasted anyway. Medicinal mushrooms are really great. They contain lots of good chemicals that support your immune system. In particular, they contain beta glucans, and this is in all mushrooms. So all mushrooms will have a good benefit for your health and for your immune health. So if you don't eat them, especially in the winter, just start to incorporate them into your food. I love to make stews, broths are my favorite. I would definitely share a recipe with you at some point for my medicinal broth, but it's full of mushrooms like shiitake, oyster mushrooms. They're really tasty and really nice. Different mushrooms might have more medicinal effects than others, like shiitake, maitake, and different mushrooms vary in what they can do. For example, there's a mushroom called lion's mane, which is great for the brain and the mind. I often use that supplement for my patients that are suffering from dementia or Alzheimer's. By the way, I'm not saying that lion's mane cures those things, by the way. I'm just saying that's something that I use to support brain function. So yeah, medicinal mushrooms are really good. If you don't eat mushrooms in the winter, I would say definitely, well, have it all year round really, but think about what mushrooms you might incorporate into what dishes. And you can eat mushrooms if you want like a stronger, more potent medicinal effect. And I would say get yourself a good supplement, a good powder, or a capsuled powder. I like the brand Myco just because I know that it's a good brand. I know it's kind of made with care and it's got good quality mushrooms in there. And that's Myco. I also like this small book guide, you can call it. It's by a guy called Martin Powell, and Martin Powell is an amazing expert in medicinal mushrooms. He's such a powerhouse of knowledge. He's just so cool in what he knows about mushrooms. He's an expert. So this book is called Medicinal Mushrooms, an Essential Guide. There's also like I think a bigger one, but this is quite a small one, but it's really efficient. It's got like, you know, an introduction to mushrooms and why they're good, and also it's got like a good list of different mushrooms and what they are good for in particular. And then it's got a few health conditions that you might use these mushrooms for. So definitely that's my book of today. That's the one I'm promoting. That's Medicinal Mushrooms, The Essential Guide by Martin Powell. So yeah, there you have it, guys. That's my 7 herbs that I think you should go into the autumn winter months knowing about and ready to use. If you've got any questions, as usual, hit me up. Follow me on @herbsafter9 and drop me a DM if you want a question answered, and I will try to answer it in a future episode. All right, take care. Bye. Mo? I'm done. Yeah. Was I talking a lot? You were sleeping.